The weekly business show. In today's show, we are talking sales and systems. And now you can use systems to optimize, increase, and explode your sales. But before we get to that, welcome to another show. This is the weekly business show with myself, my main man, Willie. What's up, Willie?
What's up, Mr. Eugene? How's things going?
Yeah, good. We're moving into Black Friday. So my whole bottom of my house is packed with computers and laptops and screens and absolutely crazy.
Well,
And you can already see the trend picking up. We did more in the first 2 days of November than we did in the last week of October. So definitely
wow.
a big uptake on that. So guys, if you're not into Black Friday yet or you're not doing Black Friday this year, you really need to consider your strategy for next year for that. But that's on my side. Willie, what's up your side?
Same thing, Eugene. Reaching the end of the year, got a lot of things to do, but keep on pushing. One thing which we believe is there's no such thing as a year end. So we're
It's just another one.
constantly growing, implementing new stuff and things like that. But yeah, we can definitely feel that it's the end of the year. You know, people wanting their stuff done, so we're getting really busy.
And want to go
Um,
on holiday.
I want to go on holiday. Everyone wants to go on holiday. So yeah, really busy, but super exciting things that's happening. And yeah,
Some cool stuff happening, and definitely a lot of changes that we're seeing the effects of it in our businesses. And we're going to chat about a bit of that today. You've had some massive success with your
yeah.
sales efforts that you've put in, so I really want to chat about that and talk about the new system. So really caught me with that as well. Also went through. So it's like, let me show you this new thing. And at the end, it's like, where do I sign? What do I do? Really caught me with
Oh.
that as well. Before we get into that, Willie, just a quick overview. Who's EHQ? What's the show about? And maybe what's planned for the next couple of months?
Yes, cool guys. For everyone that's new to the show, so EHQ is something which was born out of our passion for entrepreneurship, and we started the show to as a give back project. We firmly believe that we can fast track our success by just modeling after guys that's more successful than us. So we started interviewing the giants on the show, and every week we ourselves also learn something from the show. So that's how EHQ started. If you're interested in joining, below this video, you'll find a link to entrepreneurhq.co.za/mastermind, where you can join our mastermind. And, on a monthly basis, we have our Zoom sessions and we talk about business and, create this community where you can go and you can speak to like-minded people. We often speak about entrepreneurship as being a very lonely journey. We always joke that our better halves is already sick and tired of all of our business talk. So it's really a lucky plaque to go and
And
speak
before
to them.
this call, actually, Willie, so myself and Willie had about a 30-minute chat before we jumped onto this, just about business in general and where we should structure things differently, etc. And we actually had this conversation where he had a house guest over to talk about business. Just tell us quickly, without calling names or anything, just what they said about how lonely the journey is.
Yeah, so I mean, we get to. I had this guest over, and we're talking about business, and we're helping them strategically, and she started talking to us, and she's like, we have to braai a lot more, and I was like, but why? And she said, when I go to my friends' houses or braais, I can't have these conversations with these guys because they look at me as if I'm crazy, and we also looked at each other like this, and we're like, yeah, that sounds very, very familiar. So it's really great to know that there's other people out there, with the same passion for entrepreneurship. One of the
Yeah.
things that I believe is it's our duty as entrepreneurs to actually sort a lot of the social problems that we've got in this
Yes.
country. I think we put too much reliance on the government, and
Mm.
unfortunately, um, you know, it's to leave it up to them to sort out everything. It ain't gonna work. And even in America, Eugene, if it wasn't for the entrepreneurs, you kind of would have had the same, outcome, So it's really up to entrepreneurs to create this place where everyone can benefit and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of how EHQ was created. And what's coming in the next couple of months or weeks, we decided that we're reaching the end of the year. A lot of guys are tapping down, but what we wanted to do is actually share our journey as well. We often speak to these giants, but what we don't recognize is that we've also achieved some things during this year. And for myself personally, and Eugene, you also mentioned that yesterday, this is probably the year that I've grown the most in terms of, personally, business wise, and so forth. And yeah, we would like to share that the journey over the next couple of weeks. So hopefully, what we will achieve by this is actually setting you up for the new year and giving you some time now to start reflecting and building and thinking, so that you can also, experience that thing of, next year is going to be my big year. So that's what's coming the next couple of weeks before we take a break.
Three things that you mentioned that really stands out for me. Number one is all those giants that we've spoken to, one of the top things that they mentioned for success, the differentiator of success between successful people and someone that's not as successful, is the level of action that they take. So we've learned all this stuff throughout the year. We've interviewed 60 giants, professionals, guys who's really experts in certain fields. And the important thing now is to take all that knowledge and actually go and implement it, take action. So that's what this part is about as well, is the action. And then you mentioned about the people think that you're crazy, and entrepreneurship is a certain level of crazy. Steve Jobs used to say the people who think they are crazy, or the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are usually the ones that do.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship does have that little bit of craziness involved in it. And the thing is, when you find other people that's just as crazy as you, and that's why we formed the community, to find other people that's also crazy, that also has a dream and a vision of the future that's different to the norm. And yeah, definitely social impact. I think it's also vitally important to make a day part of your daily rituals is gratitude. There's so much that we can be grateful for, and gratitude also comes from giving. So what are you giving? How are you changing the lives of those around you? What are you giving back to the community? What are you doing from a social impact perspective? The UN has that, I think it's 47 goals.
Yes, 17 sustainability goals.
17 sustainability goals. I thought there was more. 17 sustainability goals, so areas that you can give back and the things that the world really needs. And you can actually go and take a test and see where your passion, your purpose lies.
Yeah.
So
I think Tabo that we had on the show was quite passionate about those sustainability goals. And we had nice long discussions with the guy. We have to get him on as well again. And to see what was his I think he was one of the first guys that we interviewed. It would be nice to see what's his progress been over the last year and a half or so.
Maybe a cool thing that we must do is have short little interviews next year with all the guys that we interviewed on the show.
Yeah.
And see
what's a snippet.
Yeah, like a snippet reel to see what's happened. Cool, Willie, let's get into the sales part of things and the software. So can you maybe just firstly share the story of what's your success been? So you started utilizing software to do your sales. Now it's counterintuitive because we say it's a personal thing, and sales is something that was born. And there's so many entrepreneurs on the show that when you talk about sales, they're like, no. I don't do sales. I love sales. So it's a big part of my business and my life is doing sales. Because I don't see it as sales. You've got a product or service that can really help another company or another business to scale their business and to help them reach their dreams. So isn't it your obligation to make them aware of your product or service if you really believe in it and if it really changes someone else's life or business? So that's why I don't have an objection to sales, because I don't see it as sales. But for the guys that do see it as sales and that's a bit more reluctant to move into the sales, there's now software tools that you can use to help you through
Yeah.
your sales process, which is really cool. So the first step is really just what's been your success? How long have you tried this? Tell us just a bit about that before we get into the technical stuff of the software.
Yeah, so maybe before we jump in there, just to talk about the actual problem that services businesses has and
Mm.
how we got to the point we actually started using software and the success. I'll share a bit of that as well that we've had by using it. Yeah, it's just amazing. But just to talk about the history of things. So first of all, majority accountants, but in majority of the businesses, guys start businesses because they think they can do the job better than their bosses. And with that, you think that by providing a great service, you're going to just build your business
Yeah.
to the next level or scale to the next level. Yes, you might get some success, but you can have a long-term path to get to quite a scalable business. And that's something which has bothered me all the way from the start. When I started my accounting business, I kept on asking other accountants, but how did you grow your business? And the answer was referrals, referrals. And that's something which I
Yeah,
couldn't.
it's always the answer, referrals.
That's always the answer, referrals. And that got me thinking. And that's where I started skilling myself in digital marketing. But there's one fundamental step that I missed in this whole process. I thought that by doing marketing, it's going to actually create it's going to convert those clients into or leads into actual business,
Customers.
which wasn't the case. And that got me to the next point where I started reading up about sales processes and things like that. And one thing that I came across was that especially in the services industry, the pricing model that majority of accountants and other services businesses have been using up to now is they work on time-based billing, which means is you have to put in an hour's time to get an hour's revenue in, and that kind of is not the scalable business model. The scary thing is that 90% of services businesses are still working on that model. Okay,
Yeah.
that then. So in my research, I started, trying to figure out exactly how are you going to fix this, and that's when I got to the term. I heard of this term. They call it value-based pricing. So that got first of all that got me curious, and then I started doing research. But basically, what value-based pricing is you need to illustrate. So first of all, people don't buy from you. When people what do they call it in Afrikaans, quibble about the price, it means that they can't actually see the value that you're going to present to them. And then you're also sitting in a market which is so flooded where you've got accountants left, right, and center. And that brings you to the next type of pricing model, which is competitors-based pricing. So what you do is you look at your competitor's price, you select the same price because that's what the market indicates. But that also means that you're not looking at your costs. So maybe your costs are not correct. So the other 5% is using that model. So I did some research and I got to this guy called Mark Wickersham, where I've learned everything about value pricing. And what was striking to me is that you would think that this type of pricing model is only applicable on services businesses, which is not the case. He said he's also an accountant and he had the same struggle. He was trying to grow a practice and working on the time-based things. But then he said he likes Apple, these big Mac things. So he said um, he decided that he needs one of these things, and he had a budget of, I think, £1,000. And he then went to Apple, and the first thing that he saw when he actually got to the website is, but here's the same computer, but it's got 3 different prices. And he was like, So the $1,000 price is actually the bottom one. He said, but he doesn't want the bottom one. He actually wants the middle one. So he said immediately they kind of made him felt that he doesn't want to go for the bottom line thing. So immediately they could illustrate in the value of going for the middle one, and he immediately picked that one, and now he only budgeted £1,000, but the price bumped up to £1,200, but he was still happy to pay that because he was in control of the process. So the next thing he did was he went to the following page and they started upselling him in various things. But throughout this process, he was the one that was picking the services all the time. So what happened was he checked out that day and he bumped up his order from 1,000 to a £2,000 order, and he happily paid that. So that's basically how the concept of value-based pricing works, and that's something I learned the concept and it made sense. But once again, it took us a while to
I
implement it.
think
And
every retail store follows that same principle. The thing where value pricing comes in now we are moving it to a digital platform.
Yeah.
When last did you go to Checkers to buy bread and walked out with a bread?
Exactly.
It never happens. They move you down that little sales funnel. Why do you think the aisle to get to the tills is that long stretch? Is to upsell you on all the other products that you thought, oh, what about this? Maybe I need this, and maybe I need this. And then you end up at the till and you end up with a full basket of 3 or 4 or 500 rand, and you actually went in just to get a bread.
Exactly. And how do you feel? So you've went there to buy a bread and you've ended up buying 10 things, which 5 of them comes from that little aisle. But did you feel that these guys, forced this upon you?
It was
You
a
walked
really
out there, it was like, man, look at all the stuff that I bought, and I was in control of purchasing this.
I can't believe how expensive this stuff is. 2 bags and 500 rand. You don't complain about the 2 bags worth of rubbish that you just bought. You complain, 5 years ago I could buy 3 bags. Now I can only buy 2.
We're a lot. Do you know that? Yeah. Just a side joke. Do you know that we're a lot stronger than the old people that grew up in the 70s? They couldn't carry 500 rands worth of groceries in 2 hands. Cool.
So that value pricing has always been there, and I think that's what the key is now we're moving it to a digital platform. Just something what you mentioned is the different creator or the different personality profiles. And you heard about this, and then you went and you did all this research and you came across this guy. And if it's someone like me, it's like, I heard about this and then I went and did it. And this is so take us through the experience from a customer's perspective. What do you offer the customer that's different to the way that you used to do it?
So we started off so the first thing that we did was we boxed in all of the clients in 3 different boxes. So we had 3 packages, and that was the pricing, which is probably the worst thing that you can ever do, because your business, my business, and everyone's businesses are different. So what we had to recognize is that we cannot treat every customer, I don't want to say the same. We can't give everyone exactly the same thing. But what we wanted to do is
the same service offering. We need to give them a different service offering based on their business.
Exactly. Based on their business. So that's the first thing that we made that we did was, so the process that we go through is we collect information from these guys, and as we go along and we build these, so we've obviously got back-end models that we've built, which we go through a process. And one thing, I think one of the biggest mistakes that we do when we do the sales is we don't get the customer involved in creating this quote. So we have a discussion with them. Then what we do is we tell them we're going to prepare a proposal for you, and then we're going to send it for you to review. So it was quite a mindset change to actually change the whole process. Because what you would normally do is you will go and sit and think, no, I would do this so many hours, this is the pricing and stuff like that. And by having this tool, it gave us the opportunity. And I must say, it was quite daunting the first couple of times to build a quote purpose built just for you, because we don't even know what the price is going to spit out from the proposal, because once again each and every client's got something different. So we take them through that process and we explain to them the reason why you need to be on an accounting program is the following. And if you're on Excel, it's going to cause us to create more work, so your price becomes more expensive. But as you go through this pricing model, at some point in time, you get to like the line item services, and you can then line for line work through each of those lines, and you need to explain the benefits of that. I'm going to give you an example. So traditionally, bookkeeping, because we don't change our language, we just say you need bookkeeping. Until we change our language and we explain to our clients, why do you need this? What's the benefit of having proper bookkeeping? They will think that it's a low value item. So, very strange thing happened. So, obviously, I know what I've been pricing before. So, I kind of built these models. I timed the price by 2.5 times. And by going through this process with clients and adding services and removing services, the tool does various things for you. Obviously, it gives you a structured way. So working through the psychology with that client of explaining to them what benefits they're going to get, and then putting them in control. Going back to the Apple model, that guy said he wanted extra RAM. So he was the one clicking the button to get that extra RAM. So that client didn't feel like I'm forcing stuff onto him. And by switching this whole process, using the tool, going through this with them, ask them, would you like this or would you like us to remove it? And the price changing on a constant basis, the results was astounding. I think I've only been doing it for a little bit, but every single proposal that I've given to a client, every single one of them was accepted within the price point. Every single one. So, it must tell you something that the process are working. And the astounding thing is we've been getting, double the fees that we normally got. And the reason for it is we can services is not a tangible thing. It's an intangible thing to illustrate that for clients. But by using the tool, it's given us a tangible thing which they can see what they are getting. Yeah, it's amazing. I can.
I think a big part of that as well, Willie, we were talking about it yesterday. How we go through this process and we constantly compete on price. What ends up happening is you get 50 clients at a really low price, and that's the amount of clients you need to cover your expenses. And now you're scrambling around to try and help all these clients because you're supposed to be costing your product or service here. Now you cost your product or service here, but you still offer the same value or the same package that a client would get here. But now you have to take on so much more, which ends up you keep running around after everyone, basically heating out fires instead of really adding value to your customer's business. And I think that's one of the big benefits about this is it allows you for the customer to see what is the benefits that they're getting so that you can charge what you are worth, not to charge more, to charge what you are worth so that you can really give value to your customers. So instead of having 50 customers that each pay you 10 Rand a month, now you've got 10 customers each paying you 500 Rand a month. But now you don't need 50 customers. Now you can take your time on their 10 customers and really provide value to them. Is that something that you found as well through this process?
It's absolutely, you've nailed it there. It's just, I've actually had a discussion with my team members. So where we were so fully um, booked every single month to get the jobs done, this has allowed us to employ more team members. And what I've done is now I've implemented the rule, which I said to them, I don't want you. So you would get a lot of employers would say, you need to perform, you need to output 110%. But the reality is you can't. If you do that, only way that those guys can do it, they rush through the work. And then unfortunately in our industry or profession, we need to be accurate. We're in the job of actually processing information. So we help people make chaos of all of these financial transactions, take it through a process all the way to the point where they can take this information and that information tell them a story. So I've now, through this process, managed to up our revenue. We were able to get additional team members, and we've cut down on the volume of work for these guys. So I want them to operate at a 90%, and the reason for that is I want to give them that 10% grace to sit and think about how they can strategically add to this business. And for example, I've given a task to all of the bookkeeping guys, because they're in the business of processing information. Is I want them to every week give me a suggestion about how they think we can do things faster by using technology. So by doing that, and the only reason we could do this is we're now able to get more revenue. And trust me, man, to rectify the mistakes of the past ain't the easy thing, because we're starting to go through the process as well of speaking to the current clients, going through the same process and say to them, you are on this package, but this is what we can provide you. And what's quite astounding is you would think that if you're going to increase a client's fees by 30% from 1 year to the other year, they're going to kick and scream. But guess what? If you take them through this process and you can explain the value properly, that 30% jump is once again, they are in control of that process. So it's not me telling him that's what it's going to cost you. It's they asking for more services, and that's what it's going to cost them. And that's one nice way of organically growing your business, is going back to your current clients, upselling them into more value.
Yeah, I think there's three areas that we spoke about that you can really increase the income of your business. We spoke about it yesterday. What were they again?
So there's four areas, but one is marketing. And we know that marketing is a topic on its own. But what guys are forgetting is you've got an existing bank of clients. So by just looking at those clients strategically, the one way is increasing the value of the product that you're selling them. So you can use something like, or you actually do something stupid. Just put on your prices with 10%. When I start working with clients, I asked them, when was the last time that you increased your prices? They're like, no, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I said, well, my suggestion to you is now. So you can pay me later for this. But so go to your clients and bump up the price by 10%. Just do that. They're like, oh, I'm going to lose my clients. It's okay. Do the following. Just go to 2 of your clients and do it. And if you don't get resistance there, go to the next 5 and then the next 10. So don't do it all at once. So that's the first thing. The second thing is increase the frequency that you transact with these guys. So if you're selling to them only something once every 6 months, try and make that sale, reduce it to 4 months. So that gives you an extra cycle during that year. So what we've successfully done is, traditionally clients would come to you and say, I would only want financial statements. So we'll give them a lump sum invoice. What we've done is we've actually broken up into 12 payments. So for me, it's great because I can quite accurately estimate my monthly income. And then the other one is increase the basket of the stuff that you're selling to them. So if you're only selling web services to them, maybe what you want to consider is also selling them email hosting, and maybe consider building a website for them or something like that. But yeah, increase it. I think something which I have done, what I have done actually was is just draw out a grid with all your services and your clients, and maybe dot in the places, and you know, try something like that, and
Yeah. So I think
you'll be
there's
amazed.
three ways. So from your existing customers is increase the frequency that they purchase.
Yeah,
Number two is increase the basket size, so increase the value of each purchase. And then
yeah,
the third one is sales, getting new customers in. And that's where
yeah.
this tool comes in. So Billy, there's three steps, three main areas in growing your sales pipeline for your business. Number one is you start off this side and you acquire a new customer. Then you actually have to make the sale. And once you've made the sale, you have to collect the money. So, what is the software that you use? So, I think everyone's probably dying to know what is the program called. Just tell me what's the program. So, what do you use to generate leads? What do you use to close the sale? And then what do you use to collect the cash?
Cool. So what I use to create the to get the leads is I've got social media platforms, but that in itself doesn't create the leads for you. So we use paid marketing, where we move clients from either one of those social media platforms to a landing page where we collect those leads. Once we collect those leads, that's when we actually set up so the platform that we use currently is we build landing pages on WordPress, and we collect those contact details, and we chuck it into HubSpot, which is a free CRM program. That's when they enter the sales cycle, and we've got a couple of processes there. But at some point in time, and especially in our industry, what we found was it's very difficult to convince someone electronically throughout the sales cycle to actually just sign up for high value services. So what we do is in this process, we set up like a health check, and that's where we get the opportunity to speak to this client. We then use software. The software that we use is called effective pricing. So it's a pricing template proposal slash sales tool. But there's other things out there. If you just go search value pricing software, you will see quite a lot of these types of softwares that pop up, and
I
it
didn't
works for.
even know that they existed.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what you don't know. So we use that um, to take these guys through the sales process. And once we've taken them through the sales process, we then, we use Zero, which is an online accounting program. Um, and we've automated the majority of those tasks. So, for example, we'll create recurring invoicing on a monthly basis. Then we've got various payment gateways linked to those invoices. So, make the payment process for the clients easy. They
Yeah.
will get online invoices, and they'll get like a pay now button, so they can pay immediately. They don't need card details. In our case, we've got like an EFT thing, so you can pop it in there for the guys that wants to use that service. And then what we do is, and we've done it quite successfully, or is to implement automated software to chase the outstanding monies on a weekly basis. So we're in that
You
cycle.
recently got to what's the new one? Pay scale or what?
Pay scale. What an interesting set of debit order. So if you are familiar with debit orders, it's quite a manual process. You need to collect mandates from clients, and then you have to keep it somewhere on file if someone asks for it. And then on a monthly basis, you need to run debit orders, and that's also a manual process. And what happens is most often guys skip a debit order, and then the client gets upset because it's now getting billed in a different place. What's nice about this software is you can actually automate this whole collection process. So you link it against Zero. the system actually sees what's outstanding invoices on Xero, and that then automatically creates this debit order batch. And the nice thing about this is you can create automated debit order mandates. So you can call the client and tell them that we've changed the system, the debit order system. Please approve this mandate, and they go through the process. So you've got this electronic mandate in there, and this thing just on a monthly basis is will fetch the data from your accounting software, run the debit order, run on the prescribed date that you want it to run, and yeah, it's amazing. And the amazing thing about this one is it's actually got escalation processes. So from time to time, you try to take a debit order and the cash is not in the bank. What will happen is you've missed that run. You need to redo that. This system will, based on the rules set up, actually go and collect the stuff on a later date. And the debit order can go up and down and things like that. So it's constantly looking at the data in your accounting system. The trick is you need to keep your accounting data up to date. But yeah, it's just all of these little things allows you as the business owner to spend more on the strategic side of things as opposed to doing things manually.
And I think
So
that's the
yeah,
goal where we want to get to, is to be able to spend time on the stuff that really matters. And
yeah,
we spoke about it yesterday. We had our mastermind Zoom call yesterday, and one of the things we spoke about is what is the difference between someone that's really successful and someone that's not as successful. And there's multitude of different reasons. There's so many factors that go into it. One of the main things that we realized is, number one is action. Number two, it's not just action of sitting and being busy. It's about what are you spending your time on? What is the areas in your business that you're actually spending your time on? Now, I think that's different for every business. So Willie just gave some great tips and tools that you can use in your business to automate a lot of the tasks. Um, and it's different parts for every single business. The important thing is, what are you spending your time on? And then taking action on it and moving that needle, actually moving
yeah,
forward. So, Willie, thanks for sharing that. Any last
yeah.
words before we bounce off?
Guys, my advice to you guys is don't slack down now. Everyone else, your competitors will slow down now. If you're going to ramp up things now, you're going to be ahead of these guys by the time December hits. So try and not view December as a start of or end of a year. It's just view it maybe as a time to relax a little bit. But if you want to do something, there's no better day. Or there's no better time to start doing it today. Don't wait until the new year to implement this. I hear this often. In the new year, I'm gonna start it. I'm like, no, man. There is no better time to start things like in as of today. So that's my advice to you guys
Oh,
for today.
I think January isn't the start of a new year. January is the continuation after December. So whatever work you're putting
Exactly.
in December, that's going to carry on in January. If you do nothing in December, you're going to
Yep.
have a nightmare in January. So,
Yeah.
cool, guys. Thanks for joining us on another episode. And so Willie will share a lot of the links to the software that he spoke about in our mastermind group. Willie, just remember to do that. Just a
Yeah.
recap, some of the stuff. Zero, pay scale. What's the one you use for the value pricing?
Effective pricing, but this other thing called
Effective
practice
pricing,
ignition, I'll share that as well. And then
practice
chaser to
ignition,
chase your invoices. So yeah, super cool
and then
tools.
HubSpot for your CRM as well. Really simple to set
Yeah.
up, and you can actually run your Facebook ads from inside HubSpot, which is really cool. Guys, go and
Yep.
implement the stuff, test it, play around with it, see what happens. If it makes an impact, if it doesn't, move on to something else. Most important thing is take action. And then next week on the
Take
business
action.
show, we are talking about one strategic thing that myself and Willie started implementing this year. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons for our success this year. So next week, we're going to chat a bit about that and how that's affected our business and how you can implement it in your business to achieve, dramatic results,
Yep.
really cool results. Guys, until next week, hope you have an awesome week further. Have a great weekend. And coming up to December, so really hit the ground running and go put in the effort that your competitors isn't going to do. Cool,
Cool,
guys.
guys. So just from my side, thanks for showing up without
Wait,
you.
I've got it.
For showing up, and please like and subscribe. Check next week. Cheers.
Please like and subscribe. Ciao.